Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Omaha Community Foundation's very first webinar. We have a few people with us today. First, we've got Ann Meisenberg. She's the Director of Community Investment. Everyone say hi to Ann. Helping us out today is Katrina Adams, our Program Associate. We've also got Allie Freeman, our Communications Manager. Both Allie and Katrina are going to be watching our questions for us as they come in. And then you've got me, Rachel Grace. I'm the Digital Content Strategist here at the Omaha Community Foundation. We've also got a few special guests. We've got Bree Hunter from Kids County Community Center. She's the Mentoring Outreach Coordinator there. And we've got Cara Eastman, President and CEO of Omaha Healthy Kids Alliance. So we'll be hearing from them in a little bit. A little bit about what we will be covering today. A little quick overview of Omaha Gives for those of you who have not taken part before. We will be talking about building donor relationships through outreach. We'll then be talking about the importance of thank yous and success stories, followed by defining your outreach style, communication channels, then we'll hear from our guest speakers, and then just a little bit more about Omaha Gives, followed by a question and answer period. So while we're going through this, there should be a small Q&A box at the top of your screen. If you think of any questions as you go along, make sure to type those in. We'll be having a look at them. At the end, we'll be answering a few. Any that we don't get to for whatever reason before our time is up today, we will answer individually. Keep in mind that this whole presentation, the slideshow, and the video will be available on our Omaha Gives Toolkits page. You should have a small poll box come up on your screen, and so go ahead and fill that out. We would like to know, just to get a sense for who we're talking to today, has your organization participated in Omaha Gives before? If not, great, welcome. And if so, we're glad you're here too. How many years? This is our 5th year, so have you been with us from the start? Or just 1 or 2 years? And then just to get a sense for also who we're talking to, is your organization considered small, medium, or large? This presentation is geared towards small and medium for sure today. So let's end that and we will share. So great, it looks like most of you have participated before, but some not. So again, welcome. And then it's a pretty good spread of those of you who have participated for a while versus just started. And then we've got a mix of small, medium, and large organizations. That is great. Again, welcome to you all. A little bit about Omaha Gives. For those of you who are new, it is a year-round online giving platform organized by us, the Omaha Community Foundation. The idea is to grow philanthropy in our 3-county area, Douglas, Sarpy, and Pottawatomie counties. That said, even though it is a year-round platform, a lot of you know it from the 24-hour online giving event in May every year. We can see our results from last year. $7.8 million was raised, very exciting. Over 52,000 donations, which is great, from 18,000 donors. 923 nonprofit organizations participated last year, which is more than ever.
Hey.
What's up? Oh, yeah. But beyond all these great totals, the program is truly about bringing people together, celebrating philanthropy, and recognizing that all the hard work that you do really helps change our community for the better every day. So we are so glad you're keeping it going. We have one more poll. And you should all see one more poll on your screen right now.
And it's which formats do you typically use to thank donors for their contributions? Because we'll talk about that in a second. Looks like we have a good quarter there. Give social media post. We have personalized letters, form letters, handwritten letter, no. Personal email. We have some that do phone call. We have no other. I was curious to see if we would have any others. So that kind of leads us into why sending a thank you letter is important. From a foundational standpoint, when you're building your donor base, it's really about dating. So if for those of you that have participated in Omaha Gives before, if you really have, if you've developed a base through that, those are people that have already bought into your mission. You don't want them to leave. You want them to continue to donate to you. So you want to use that Omaha Gives as an entry point where they've learned more about their mission, or a continuation point where maybe they've given to you before, given to you the year before, and then start to communicate to them throughout the year so that you can start to turn them into a regular donor. You want to make sure that you're planning ahead of time. You want to understand what your steps are, and you want to set goals that are attainable for you and your organization, no matter the size and no matter your staff, whether you're a volunteer or you have a 3-person development staff. Omaha Gives does not end in May. And why should you reach out? That post-donation thank you reiterates that you recognize that that person gave you a lot of support. You want to have a touch point for them at key times in the year. Sometime in summer after Omaha Gives, you want to say, this is what happened with your donation. And then maybe rolling it into a touch point for an annual campaign ask at the end of the year. So this is a good way. You have their name, you know that they're receptive. This is a good opportunity.
And I know it's often very difficult to figure out how to get your board involved in that process. And I think for a lot of them, there's a mental roadblock to get them engaged in the process because they really look at fund development or fundraising as, sitting down with a potential donor and asking a question or asking them for money directly. And it doesn't always have to start there or be there. Some ways this can be done is asking board members to personally thank those they have an existing relationship with, just tying people more fully and personally to your organization. You can ask board members to write personal notes at the bottom of thank you letters when you send them out, so people recognize that they know that there's that personal connection point. Or you can ask board members to create a cheer page and post it on their social media. This is taking it a step beyond that personal, just thanking people, having them start actually asking. But it's in a way they might perceive as non-confrontational, and it's pretty comfortable for them. So really, those are kind of some first steps that you can take as an organization to get your board member involved in that process.
Personal touches. We in a recent poll, nearly half of all donors, nearly half of all donors surveyed in a recent poll said they like to receive a handwritten thank you note. Over 35% at email, 11% said social media, 8% said phone call. That's kind of mirrors our responses to the poll. What you need to remember, though, in this is that you do what is attainable for you as an organization. The important part is that you thank them. Get to know your donors. Keep track of them, whether it's on an index card or an Excel file at the very basic, all the way up to the heavy hitter, razor's edge of the world. You know what works best for your organization, or if you don't, there's a lot of online resources to help guide you in the selection of a database that works for the resources that you have and what you need to do for your organization. But the important part is that you keep track. You also want to tell them what their donation did. Tell your donors want to see that their donation had an impact. So you want to craft personal stories that talk about how their donation helped to make your mission go further.
Just a note about stories. I mean, that's the core of what your organization does. So when you take a step back and you think it's time to reach out to my donors, what should I say? I think there's a few really important places to start and 3 questions to ask. So think about your organization's work. What is the overall tone of it? Is this something that is really super serious? Is it something that's hopeful? Is it something that's fun? I think a lot of organizations kind of have a mix of both. You think about an animal organization, for example, it's a lot of times very serious, other times very fun and uplifting. So kind of start there and consider this a map for how your other communications are going to go. Then think about who your Omaha Gives donors are. So everybody has access to their donor list. You've got names, emails. You can export that list from the instructions are on your Omaha Gives dashboard when you log in as a nonprofit. And you've got that information. That doesn't tell you much, unless you know them personally. So what you can do is look at the amounts that they've donated. You start to draw some educated guesses, income level, and things like that. You can start to think about, what are these people maybe interested in? We all do know that all Omaha Gives donors are highly likely to be comfortable with giving money online, which means that they probably spend some time online. And think about that. You will know more about your donors as you start to send them emails and start to spend more time on social media. You'll be able to look at what was successful and do more of that stuff to keep them interested and engaged. So those are some good jumping off points when you're considering defining your outreach style. One more poll just before we head into the next section, which is more specific about digital stuff. So you have a question on your screen. There's no right or wrong answer. If you hardly ever post, that's okay. We just kind of want to know, what the landscape is here. All right, let's have a look here. 77% have used email marketing before. That's awesome. For the other folks who have not yet, we'll talk about that in just a second. At least once a day. Wow, that's awesome. For those of you who post on social media that often. 2 to 4 times a week. That's a great way to begin. Let's see here. We've talked about our outreach style. Now we're ready to start posting and reaching out to our donors more. One thing to think about is let's get in the habit of thinking about reporting to our donor base as it's going. So you don't want to sit down to write your email to your donors and think like, gosh, what did we do? You want to think about it along the way. Get in that mindset. And so one of the ways to do that is to record photo and video as you go. Now, not every organization does work that's very, that lends itself well to visuals, but having some kind of visual to react to is really going to help with your donors and keep them engaged, really going to help with the impact. And so that's a place to start. Just one side note, if you're taking photos and video to record what you're doing, maybe it's a project that you're working on, just make sure that if any people are in it, that you have permission to use their image. In most cases, a phone works just fine. You've got a little phone on a tripod. Those are like 20 bucks. Well, they range in price, but that's a good starting point. So if you are doing video and you don't want it to be all shaky, try one of those. You don't always have to hire a professional in this case, especially if you don't have the budget for it. So just something to think about. Develop a calendar. I heard from Anne that this is like one of the hardest things to do, but it's really hard to stick to something if you don't have it down on paper. That way you're not scrambling. And also that way you're not just always reaching out like when you have a big funding deadline to hit. You're kind of reaching out in between and reporting on what you're doing.
And that way it's in bite-sized portions. You can set yourself a goal that's attainable regularly.
Yeah. And just generally minimize the unknown. You don't want a donor to check in on your Facebook page and maybe you post it every day for a week and then you kind of stopped because you got busy, but that makes people think like, gee, what's going on? So just set goals that are realistic and stick to those. I think realistic for your resources.
Yep.
All right. We'll just quickly talk about email. This is inexpensive and effective outreach. So we can't recommend it enough. Again, you can access your Omaha Gives list from your dashboard. There's a few different kind of leaders in the email marketing world. MailChimp, Campaign Monitor, Constant Contact. We use MailChimp. Can definitely recommend it for being very user-friendly and kind of guide you through the process if you've not done it before. There are a few best practices though. Just like Anne was saying, you don't want to cram too much into your communications. So think about what's going to rope the reader in and just make sure that you include that. Be kind of quick and to the point. A lot of people only spend about 30 seconds on an email that they open. So within 30 seconds, you want your donor to know what you're trying to tell them. And then invite them to click into your website if you have one, click in your Omaha Gives profile if there's something there, if you are, is that time of year to ask for money. And that's a good place to start with email. Social media, of course, we don't know for sure the people that follow you on social media, are they all donors? You can't say that necessarily, but you can say that they're potential donors and that they have an interest in your organization. So the goal here is in a lot of ways the same as email. You want to be succinct, rope in the reader. When you think about the social media posts that are especially engaging, they're usually the shorter ones. So try to adopt that as a best practice.
And images are really key in all of this to break up the monotony of everything that's on the feed.
Exactly. So another reason to kind of be, snapping photos as you go. This is also an opportunity to share your organization's personality, going back to our sort of map, our description map of what your organization's work is all about. Make sure that that's reflected in your social media persona. And again, it's a way to build awareness. Now, there are 5 platforms here, and that's just 5. And we all know that there are like hundreds probably right now, and you hear about new ones all the time. It feels like there's a lot of pressure to be a part of all of them. But our recommendation is definitely to do a couple and do them really well. So I can't recommend Facebook enough. Facebook, for these purposes, it's where about 90% of our website traffic comes from. I'm sorry, I should rephrase that. Of all the social media profiles, 90% are Facebook users. So then you've got like 5% Twitter and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's where people are coming to Omaha Gives from.
Which ones do we have at the Community Foundation?
We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Instagram, if you're going to use that one, just keep in mind that it's a photo and video platform. So if your organization doesn't do something super visually, lots of action happening, then maybe that's not the one that you want to have. The thing that you want to avoid is having a platform that just kind of sits there, because again, that could make your donors kind of wonder what's going on. So I definitely recommend Facebook and then Twitter so that people can tag you in it as a starting point. Other than that, if you don't have a ton of resources, I think that's totally okay, at least in relation to building a donor base with Omaha Gives. We are excited to welcome Bree Hunter, our mentoring and outreach coordinator from Kids Can Community Center. We'll turn it over to her.
Hello. My name is Bree Hunter. I'm the mentoring and outreach coordinator at Kids Can Community Center. I've been there since the beginning of January, so this was my first Omaha Gives experience. Okay, so in the first year of Omaha Gives, Kids Can, they had 24-hour time slots and board members signing up for those slots. It just helped us keep things organized and also to make sure all of our donations didn't kind of come in at the same time. And that was successful, so we've continued to do it throughout the years. We were just learning and developing at that point. And then in the second year, we attempted to do a celebratory watching event. It wasn't as successful. There's a lot going on those kinds of days. So we decided to shift our resources to something we knew could make a bigger impact. In that second year, we also started doing personalized thank yous, which have been really successful, and I'll talk about further later. We also challenge our board members to tell 5 associates and friends about Kids Can, and especially to post on their own timelines. That way, if someone's not a fan of Kids Can, they'll still see the stories from somewhere else. So just a sample timeline here for you guys. It's really important to have a plan. Things happen really fast on the days of giving. So if you have a plan in advance, you've communicated, all of your team knows what to do, things will go a lot more smoothly. So yeah, start back as far as a couple months in advance, just make sure everyone knows what to do. It's also important because you don't want to be posting the same thing over and over, so you kind of want to divide it up nicely and evenly. Okay, so here's a couple weeks before, 1 week before, and then on the actual giving day. So we have our annual luncheon. Our fundraising luncheon is usually right around Omaha Gives. This year it was just the day before. So planning ahead is really key to making sure not to kind of overload the information. On the giving day, we like to have posts every hour. It's important to keep monitoring social media and answering questions, creating a conversation, having a dynamic time. We focus on our thank yous. We do personalized pictures for every donor, regardless of the size of their donation. They're really cute. The kids love to do them. They're so fun. And we like to tag the donor and share it on their page. That way friends can see that they donated. And if a friend sees it and says, oh, that's cute, I would like one too, then they can donate as well. Another way we use social media, our CEO has a yearly involvement in Omaha Gives. He gives each of the early childhood children $10, and they can decide which cause the money goes to. It's really fun. The kids love to do it. They learn about giving. and it also makes a really cute social media post, and we can tag community members, which is really helpful as well. It's nice to support other organizations as well. So we really focus on electronic communication since Omaha Gives is electronic giving. We like to reach out to them in the same way. By the Friday on the week of Omaha Gives, we create a thank you video and post it. We do all the individual thank you pictures as well as some short video pieces, and we definitely encourage everyone to follow us on social media. Social media posts and newsletters are the way that we keep donors engaged and help them feel appreciated. We try to post daily, and the daily posts and monthly newsletters show where is their donation going, how are we using that to improve. And through the giving history, we have gradually increased donors and amounts due to our social media plan.
Now we have President and CEO of Omaha Healthy Kids Alliance, Cara Eastman.
Hi, everyone. All right. We have learned to love Omaha Gives at Omaha Healthy Kids Alliance. And just a little bit about us. Our mission is to improve children's health through healthy homes. One of the reasons why, when we first heard about Omaha Gives, so we participated every year, that it was a little daunting to us. Well, it was for many reasons, actually. One, we had not been an organization that had traditionally solicited donations from individuals. And so Omaha Gives was actually a breakthrough moment for us, where over the course of 5 years, we have doubled the number of donors to our organization through Omaha Gives. So when we started, I think the first year we had about 100, last year we had about 300. So actually that's tripling, right? Which is pretty remarkable. And we've stayed pretty steady at the donation level at about $10,000 a year. But for an organization that had not been getting individual donations, that was pretty significant for us. And so we owe a lot to Omaha Gives, but we've worked at it. We also do not have a development staff at Omaha Healthy Kids Alliance. I'm the only fundraiser. And so that was another way that we engaged Omaha Gives, was by allowing our staff to participate in a way that they hadn't participated in fundraising. And so it actually created a little bit of buzz within the organization. Now, some of the ways that we have used Omaha Gives may be non-traditional, and I'm not necessarily recommending them, but I did want to just let you know what we've been doing. So actually, the first year of Omaha Gives, I spent the entire day basically harassing my nonprofit friends online. I believe at one point we offered to name Ann Meisenberg's baby after a particular donor.
Yes, that day.
So that was the first year. And then the year that we did, the one that you're looking at, we created memes. And so I pulled nonprofit leaders' photographs from their Facebook pages and then added goofy sayings throughout the day, and then tagged the leaders of the organizations or the people in the memes and on Facebook. So
yeah, 3 Omaha Community Foundation staff now represented there.
We also use children to thank our donors, perhaps in a different way than Kids Can does, but because we use babies. But so we've had, we use humor, because basically what Omaha Gives is for us is a day of online harassment. We harass our friends all day and night. We're up at 24 hours. And so one of the fun ways that we've coped with that is by using humor. And so you can see the little baby on the left. And then also, the year that I created the graphic on the right, I was frustrated that we had never won a yearly prize, and so I put that we won $1 million, which we hadn't. But last year we did get one of the hourly prizes, and so that was pretty exciting for us. So thanks. We make it a fun day in our office. We've created themes around food. We play video games. We invite people to come in and share food with us. We've given out sandwiches, brownies. We've had board members come in and bug their friends online with us. So we basically just try to make it as much fun as possible for our team because, again, it's a new thing for them if they're not traditionally involved in fundraising and asking people for money. And then, so last year, I guess actually we raised more than I thought. We had about $16,000 raised. We partnered with our neighbors at Hello Holiday, and they helped promote the event too. So I think finding a business that you can partner with is a great strategy. We did it years ago with Markle Automotive, and we got some donations out of that as well. So finding a good business partner is certainly helpful. If I click on these, will it actually? Because there's a video that I was going to show, but I don't know if it will allow me to. Maybe we didn't do that. Well, if you go on our Vimeo channel or our YouTube channel for Omaha Healthy Kids, you can also see, so 2 years ago, we hired somebody to sing the mission statements for different nonprofits, and we put those on their Facebook pages. So I think one of the unique things we've done at Omaha Healthy Kids with our friends is created more of a community day where we're celebrating our friends and other nonprofits too. And so by singing their mission statements, last year we had kids talking about different nonprofits and what they thought the nonprofit did based on their mission statement. And we've got some fun ideas for next year as well. So we've just tried to create more of a day, a community day for us, because we feel like nonprofits are often under-celebrated and underappreciated. And the more we can all band together and do this together, we think it's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you both so much for taking the time to share your stories. It's really great. You can definitely see the different, you know, especially when you've been with the event for a couple of years, you can kind of trial and error, try some new things out, and I think we're definitely seeing that it works. So that's the good news. Omaha Gives, as we mentioned, we talk a lot about the day in May, but it's also a year-round giving platform. And so, you know, there are other donation platforms you can use out there, obviously. We would say, why not use Omaha Gives all year round? There's a lot of reasons to do that. We don't need to turn it into an Omaha Gives commercial, though. We'll just talk about kind of what Omaha Gives does for the community, at least according to our survey. Every year, we have every donor, well, we try to get every donor to fill out a survey. We get pretty good participation in that. This past year, we saw that 45% of donors said that they donated to a brand new organization for the first time that they discovered through Omaha Gives. Brand new to them, of course. So kind of browsing the website, finding an organization, reading their story, and deciding, hey, I think I'll do that. That's 45% of survey respondents. And then we went on to ask another question. 61% of donors said that they will continue to give to the nonprofits they discovered through Omaha Gives that year. At least they agree strongly with that statement. So that's pretty good. That's looking pretty good as far as expanding the pie goes. Our hope is that through using this website, we make it easy for folks to discover new nonprofits to love. That's a big part of the mission with this.
Well, I think that reiterates the fact that if you work at these relationships, these donors can be year-round donors for your organization.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So that's a little bit about us. Why don't we recap this? Yeah.
So, you know, we've quickly in the last a little bit over a half hour have covered a lot of ground and heard from our friends and partners in the room. But kind of just a quick recap on everything. What you want to do is make a plan that fits your organization. You don't want to start off saying, if you don't have a social media presence at all, or you have a small one, you don't want to start off saying, well, I'm going to use Omaha Gives and leverage it to build my donor base fivefold. Like Cara shared with us, you know, it took her several years to see an increase threefold in the process. Make sure that you communicate with your donors. It really does make them feel a part of your organization. And once they feel a part of your organization, they'll become donors year round. They may volunteer. They may think of you if they're giving away, you know, household items, if that's part of your mission. You want to become top of mind as they continue to think about their own gifts and actions within our community. And think about Omaha Gives beyond the one day in May. Make sure you keep your profile updated. Tell your donors everything you've done since the last time that they donated since Omaha Gives. Use things like cheer pages, which is a great tool to integrate for your organization year round for people to talk about their support of your organization. And use a scheduled gifts period starting May 1st because there's a lot of clutter on that day, usually.
All right, so that's a quick summary of everything we've covered today. It's question time. Thank you for all who have joined us today. And now, if you would like to voice any questions that you've had throughout this last half hour, either for us or for our guest speakers, they're still here. Feel free to type those into the Q&A box. We'll give you just a second to type those in. We could also get started with talking about one thing that's kind of on my mind, since I saw that we have a few brand new organizations to Omaha Gives. It's September. Oh my gosh, it's September. Omaha Gives, the big event is in May. So where does an organization start? You know, what do you think step one is?
In September?
Yeah, like right now,
To
what's
get
the
ready
next thing we should do?
To get ready for Omaha Gives,
Yeah.
or to leverage your list of Omaha Gives for the following year. I think going into year end, it's if you haven't already, downloading your list and thanking those individuals. But on top of that, because I can't stress that enough, you want to thank them. But on top of that, I think it's also like starting to integrate them to any other campaigns that you have, or starting a campaign related in that. So if you don't have like what they call a year-end campaign, so it's it's part of the season of giving, or giving around Giving Tuesday in November. I'm trying to remember when Thanksgiving is this year. So if you don't have anything around around that time, you want to start to think about how you reach out, whether it's creating a donor or integrating it into like an email marketing campaign, or adding those people to your newsletter. You want to start thinking about trying to develop like a year-end touch point, because that's the opportunity when people are thinking about giving to their community. Plus, they're also, quite frankly, and don't want to be lewd here, but they're giving to you before they're giving to Uncle Sam a lot of times.
We've got a few questions. Karen is asking, 2018 will be our first year to use Omaha Gives. Is there a guide on your webpage to help us get started? A couple notes there. The answer is yes. Registration opens in January for new organizations, so that is a date to keep in mind. January 15th every year is when new organizations can apply to be a part of the May event. And so on our webpage, there is a toolkits page. So you go to omahagives.org/content/toolkits. Toolkits, you'll see it right at the top of the homepage. You click that, there's a bunch of resources. There are logos, design files, posters. Very soon this video will be there, things like that. We are, with the addition of me to the staff and the rest of our communications team, we're going to be doing a lot more with our toolkits page this year. So that's a good starting point. Worth noting is that this spring we'll be doing more webinars that are very topical, very focused on different things like social media and email. Will be a whole webinar and things like that. We will also have a webinar just for beginning organizations. And worth noting is that in the spring we do in-person trainings too. So if you want to come talk in person, ask questions in person, it can be very valuable to get the process off the ground. In the meantime, I just want to add to Anne's point, if you are a new organization and you will be registering in January, think about starting to grow your social media base like now, because that type of thing takes time.
Yeah.
So look at your Facebook page, think about your outreach style and things like that. One of the reasons we're doing this now in September is to just, so that it's not a scramble. And so I would use that time between now and then to think about those types of things. We've got a couple other questions. Wendy, it's a questions for kids can. Would you like to just quickly pop back over?
Yeah. Okay, so Wendy is asking, how did you incorporate your annual event into your Omaha Gives marketing? And for us, our biggest concern was just not to overwhelm our donors and our social media followers. So the point I was really trying to hit there was to have like an organized plan and a schedule for posting and things like that. We did at our luncheon, we had we gave away candy bars, and there was like an Omaha Gives at the very end, like an Omaha Gives kind of design on it for them as well. So I guess kind of keeping them together, but also making sure not to overwhelm. Thank you.
Thank you again. So again, we look forward to sharing lots more information in the spring as we gear up for the May event. We want to thank our guest speakers for coming in today.
Thank you.
Bree from Kids Can Community Center and Cara Eastman from Omaha Healthy Kids Alliance. We want to thank you, the listener, for being a part of this. You are truly what makes Omaha Gives all year long a really great thing. And DoSpace for having us in their great facility here and lending their screens to us. So thank you again. We're going to sign off. If you think of any other questions, just shoot us an email or give us a call anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.